In this episode, I speak to Purity Milgo from Save the Elephants Foundation. She delves into the growing challenge of human-elephant conflict across Africa. Founded by Dr. Iain Douglas-Hamilton, Save the Elephants is one of the leading organizations working towards the conservation of Africa's elephants. Specializing in elephant research, they provide scientific insights into elephant behavior, intelligence, and long-distance movements. They also apply them to the challenges of elephant survival and harmonious coexistence with humanity. As always, 30% of the revenue from the optional paid subscription on Substack from this episode will be donated to organizations like Save the Elephant. Welcome, Purity, on the behalf of Save the Elephants.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
One of the main areas where Save the Elephant works on is human-elephant conflict. So how severe is the issue of human-elephant conflict in Africa?
So human-elephant conflict in Africa is now a major threat to elephants. And this is actually not only the case in Africa, but I think across the globe. Elephants are currently only suffer low levels of poaching across Africa, but conflict between these humans, these communities, and elephants is rapidly increasing, and it is a severe case.
What is the cause in the rise of human-elephant conflict?
There are several causes, but I think the main one would be the pressure on elephants as the human footprint in Africa broadens and deepens. But the rising human population and the changing landscapes as agriculture expands in response to this rising human population. And then there's also the increase in transport connections, so the coming up of infrastructure. So all these things, they're causing barriers to wildlife movements. And especially here in the north, where Save the Elephants is based, it's a bit different. So the issues in the south, the HEC issues are caused by agriculture and communities who practice farming as a cultural thing. But here in the north, the culture is a bit different, and it is mostly made up of pastoralist communities. So the cause of the rise in the rise in HEC in the north is caused by overgrazing by livestock, which depletes. So this overgrazing depletes the rangelands and makes it harder for ecosystems to recover from drought. In turn, this overgrazing threatens the future for the elephants, and it threatens the landscapes, not only for these wildlife, but also for humans as well, which is not a good thing. And then it leads into issues like elephants moving into human settlements, which also increases human conflict. And then because these elephants, they go into these communities and they damage food stores and water points in their desperate search for food and water. So it's a kind of cycle. So the livestock causing landscape degradation. When there's no food for elephants, these elephants go into communities, and then they damage people's food stores and water.
So how is conflict impacting the community's perception of elephant conservation?
Well, it's a bittersweet thing, I think, because in other areas where we are working closely with communities, we've started to see a change in perception of people towards these elephants. Communities or people who these HEC zones, so the human elephant zones, there are some that have really started tolerating these elephants, and they've started changing their farming practices or their pastoralist or livestock keeping ways in order to accommodate these elephants. But at the same time, there are some areas which are still really HEC hotspots, and it causes a bit of conflict, not even a bit. I'd say a lot of conflict with these elephants. So it's a bittersweet, but we are hopeful for the future.
Why are wildlife corridors so important for mitigating human-elephant conflict, and what is Save the Elephant doing to protect elephant corridors?
So elephant corridors, or let's say wildlife corridors in general, are areas, specific areas that are designated as corridors for wildlife to move between two wild areas or protected areas. So here in northern Kenya, we have only one elephant corridor, and it is currently being used by several elephants, not only elephants, other wildlife as well. But these elephants are moving from the Laikipia region in Kenya to Meru and then back. So it's a really, really successful setup. And Save the Elephants, together we're partnering with the Wiz Academy of Nature for Science, with the Academy for Nature, and through scientific analysis of the tracking data, I think we have more than 20 years of tracking data. We're working with these partners to identify these key movement corridors in Kenya, and we're working to secure them. In addition, we're also working closely with communities, and we have a wonderful group of ladies. We're calling them the Mama Tembos, which translates to elephant mothers. And these ladies, these wonderful women, they patrol corridors and alert local authorities to the construction of illegal bombs. And they also monitor which kinds of wildlife use these areas or these corridors. And they also let the authorities know if there are any illegal settlements that could block wildlife and livestock movements. So our goal is to secure and gazette many more of these corridors, partnering with the Wiz Academy of Nature. And so I think this will help secure a future for elephants.
Could you also talk about the Elephant and Bee Project?
So the Elephants and Bees Project is it's one of the projects that we're currently doing in our human and elephant coexistence program. It's basically the use of beehive fences as a natural deterrent against elephants, which helps protect farmers and their crops. So this idea is based on prior PhD research conducted by Dr. Lucy King, she heads our human-elephant coexistence program in Sagala, which is a community that borders Tsavo East National Park. And so she discovered, or her PhD results show that elephants do run away from bee sounds and bees. So it became up as an idea. It became an idea, or a great idea, to create these beehive fences around communities that practice agriculture. That practice agriculture, and we actually took these beehive fences and put them around these farms. And so far, so good. It has been a successful, project. And we've helped protect several farmers and who have been able to harvest crops.
Why is it very important to involve local communities in elephant conservation, and what is Save the Elephants doing to involve communities in conservation?
Okay, so it is important to involve local communities in elephant conservation because there is a need for coexistence, and there's a need for these communities living in these areas to tolerate living with these elephants. This is because as the human population continues increasing, people are continuing to move further and further into wild areas because there isn't that much space enough for the growing population. And in addition to the Mamba Tembos, the lovely ladies that I've spoken about, and the Beehive Fence Project, there are several ways that Save the Elephants is helping foster coexistence. So one or two of the most successful ways that we've done so far, or two of the many ways we've done, is the installation of the smelly elephant repellent fence, which is it's a kind of mixture of organic products that, when fermented, produces it's a really, really foul smell. It literally, elephants don't go near these fences, and which helps protect these farms. There's also a wonderful project called the Bus Box Project, and it's basically installing a bus box, which is a small device that has a motion sensor attached to it. And when an elephant passes near it, it emits buzzing sounds, so like bee sounds. And as we know, elephants are scared of bees. So when they hear their sound, they run away from farms. So all these projects, including several more, have resulted in positive outcomes where we've recorded successful deterrence of elephants from farms. And as a result, and also with increasing tolerance towards elephants by communities, Save the Elephants, the Human-Elephant Coexistence Program, has developed a toolbox of more than 80 tried and tested mitigation methods, all compiled into a sort of book. This HEC toolbox is what we are calling it, has been translated into 4 languages: Swahili, English, French, and Portuguese, and can be distributed all across Africa and other English-speaking or French-speaking and Portuguese-speaking countries that have elephant populations.
Save the Elephants is also involved with CITE's MIC project. So could you elaborate a bit about this project?
And it was established in 2002, and as of now, there are around 50 MIC sites across Africa. This MIC program is essentially the most reliable continental measure of poaching pressure. And the Samburu Laikipia MIC site in Kenya is the most data rich on the continent, and we coordinate it every year. So the way that it works is that every elephant carcass that is heard about or discovered is visited by either one of our team members or one of our partners who we work closely with here in northern Kenya, and they assess the cause of death, and they record this data onto a database. And we, using the data that we gather, we can also develop the proportion of illegally killed elephants, which is pike. We call it pike as a short form. And it basically gives an index of poaching pressure that is independent of this resource put into detection of carcasses. So the MIC data that is collected, or the carcass data that is collected, we coordinate during harmonization meetings. We're calling them harmonization meetings because all partners who have collected all these carcass data, they all come up, meet, and we harmonize the data. And we work with both the Samburu Laikipia MIC sites, we work with the Masai Mara MIC sites, and we harmonize this data with all these partners, including the NRT, which is the Northern Rangelands Trust, a few of the conservancies like Lewa Wildlife Conservancy. We work with our partner organizations as well, such as the Samburu Trust, Face for Giants, and Mara Elephant Project in Masai Mara.
So could you also talk about the Samburu Elephant Project and the orphans in the project?
Okay, so the Samburu Elephant Project it's one of I'd actually say it's the longest running study of its kind in the region. And it basically combines individual recognition of elephants with real-time monitoring of tracked or live-tracked elephants. And it also combines this with the ongoing MIC project program that we talked about. And basically, this gives us an intimate insight into a population of elephants we have come to know for 15 years. So Save the Elephants basically is one of the pioneers of tracking, and we helped design and test the first ever elephant collars ever. And over time, this improved technology can now help STE map the routes of more than 170 elephants over time. And basically this current data gives us insights into elephant behavior. So things like how far they travel in search of mates, food, and safety. So the tracking project, which is under the Samburu Elephant Project, also informs other areas such as anti-poaching, where tracking is used to nab poachers or arrest poachers, as well as keep close to vulnerable groups. Operating elephants are also collared, and the tracking system has geofencing that helps turn these invisible fences or zones into physiological barriers that sends alerts every time an elephant, say, crosses that boundary. So basically, this geofencing helps us monitor elephants and allow them to remain within corridors and not stray into farmlands. So we've been conducting research here in Samburu for more than 30 years, and this elephant population is basically the most well-studied population in the world. And since we've been studying this for more than 30 years, we were even around, or Save the Elephants was around during the poaching period. And that poaching period actually was so dire that it left. So the surge in poaching over the last years and the drought of 2009 have left many elephants orphans, and it also disrupted families here in Samburu. So some orphans chose to remain with what is left of the disrupted groups, and others left their families or their natal groups to attach to unrelated individuals. Some have become drifters, and some prefer to be social, but not fully committing to any one group. So these orphans, actually, they weren't kept in orphanages or rehabilitation centers, but they remained in the wild. But some chose to attach themselves to one family, while others tried to switch. They drift from one group to another group. So they're not like orphans in an orphanage.
So my final question for you is, how can individuals contribute to Save the Elephants?
Okay, so Save the Elephants, first of all, is a non-profit. So we welcome any and all types of contributions or donations. And you can find more of those details in our website, but also other ways in which you can contribute to Save the Elephants or to the work that Save the Elephants is doing is through volunteering or interning with us. So we do have internship opportunities for students and postgraduate students who are looking to go into further studies.